Welcome to this week's episode of the WMMA Today podcast with Drake Riggs and me, Steve King. On this episode, we will be talking about the breakout fighters of 2021 for Drake and I, and then most likely fighter to be a champion in 2021. Some news. There's a Twitter question. We got fights to talk about. 2 cards coming up. A Saturday card and then the Wednesday morning card. Saturday is main evented by Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar. It's going to be an amazing fight. Cannot wait for fights finally. It's been a long time. We get to talk about fights again, some good ones. So let's start with the 2021 breakout fighters.
So many choices. So many choices here. Oh, whoops. That is not supposed to be a ticker. Starting off strong today. All right, who should go first?
You can go first.
All right, 2021 breakout fighter predictions, you guys. To kick off the show today, this one, well, both of our, well, no, the second category, most likely fighter to be champ, was it was a tougher. This was pretty easy because there's so many options to choose from.
Wasn't that hard, to be honest.
Okay, let's say I forgot the obvious choice. Let's put it that way. Yeah, you had that one locked and ready. But breakout fighters, man, there's a lot to choose from. We each chose 3 for this category. Definitely left out plenty of names. You know, there's just so much talent across the board right now. And for mine, I went primarily with the 115 pounders. It's just too easy to go with that division. Steve's got some more diversity in his. But my picks are... Kanako Murata, Bo Meng, and Luana Pinheiro. So, of course, the obvious choice there from me, if you guys know me, Kanako Murata, of course, you know, one of the brightest stars from Japan since making her debut in 2017, has been a picture of perfection, a minus 1 fight, 1 blemish on the record, and that was at flyweight against a much larger Rin Nakai. But other than that, she's been absolutely excellent and just made her UFC debut this past year, November, I believe it was, when she beat Randa Marcos. Looked phenomenal. And, you know, we knew it was just a matter of time before she got in the UFC. And I expect that it won't take long for her to climb up the rankings, you guys. One to watch, has been one to watch for a long time now, as I've been saying. And I'm very excited to see what she does in 2021, and I think that it will really put her on the map further than, you know, those who already know about her and everything. Of course, being in the UFC helps and all that. And shout out to Yusuf. Good to see you here, buddy. And then Bo Meng as my second choice. This is in no order. These are just, you know, the 3 of them. Didn't rank them or anything, but Bo Meng has just been an absolute monster, you know, in her recent run here in one championship. And just knocking bitches out, right? She had a knockout of the year candidate in her last fight. Looked phenomenal, and she is going to be back next week. She's fighting Samara Santos. So, you know, that'll be good to see what goes on with her in that fight and see if she can extend that winning streak. I would expect it to, and be the launching pad of a 2021 that will, you know, she's kind of... You could argue she's already been a breakout fighter for one, but like, I think that she'll really make much more noise this year and, you know, work her way to a potential title shot, especially if they do that tournament, which I don't know if they're going to do it at this point with Angela Lee. She's expected to have her baby in pretty soon, I think now, not super long or anything. So having not started the tournament yet is kind of interesting, but Bo Meng, either way, very good, you know, fighter in her own right, and I'm very excited to see what 2021 holds from her. I expect big things for China going forward. They've just had so much momentum ever since Weili and Jingnan, really. And then my last pick here, Luana Pinheiro, who earned her UFC contract on, was it the last episode of Contender Series or one of the last
It was
ones
one of
from the
my
break or whatever. Looked phenomenal. Got that knockout over, it was Frosto, right?
yeah.
Stephanie Frosto
Definitely
or
faster.
yes,
Yep.
yes. Looked great there, and she's just been a total finisher since starting her career. Has that judo black belt and everything, but her striking is coming along very nicely as she has displayed, especially in that fight. So, a proven finisher, plenty of experience just in other backgrounds, and I think that she makes for a very fun addition to an already incredibly fun strawweight division. But that X factor, I think, is her ability to finish fights pretty much anywhere from what we've seen. But of course, got to see her against better competition. I think that she has that potential to be a little bit of a Amanda Hebus 2.0 in terms of marketability and fun fighting style. That's all there. I think just we have to you know, see her get that UFC debut, hopefully sometime soon. But I think once that happens, she can get that ball rolling and might not be as much of a breakout in terms of climbing the ladder as these other two that I mentioned, but she's still pretty under the radar and on the prospect list and everything. So she'll make a good amount of noise to where I think you could consider her in this category. So those are my three. I love Steve's three as well. Some that I considered for my list as also, but just so many good choices. So we will move on to Steve's.
The thing that, like I was telling Drake off before we came live, the thing about picking breakout fighters this year, it's kind of difficult because we don't know when they're going to fight, who they're going to fight. If they're fighting outside of the UFC, still COVID is still going strong. We don't know like when fighters outside of the UFC are going to fight, like if they're going to have a lot of opportunities. With that said, I picked a couple that aren't in the UFC, or one that's not in the UFC.
Just one that is in the UFC.
Just one that's in the UFC, yeah. So, okay, my picks are
Voila.
Sabina Mazo, Desiree Yanez, and Montserrat Ruiz. Sabina Mazo, I can't say enough about her. I've been high on her for a very long time prior to her winning the title in LFA. I think that she has what it takes to become a champion in the UFC. She has shown that she has what it takes. She just needs to improve a little bit, I guess. She has the striking. Her length is amazing. She needs to use that length, use those kicks, because those kicks will put a girl down, either down on the ground and then she can ground and pound, or just straight up knock them out. So Sabina Mazo, I think that she's going to have a huge 2021. Hopefully she fights at least 2 to 3 times this year. Come on, bro.
Choo choo, the Sabina train.
The Desiree Yanez train as well. So Desiree Yanez, poor thing. It's tough for her. She lost a split decision
Robbery
to Melissa Martinez at Combate 51, I think. That was on the Tito Ortiz card. It was a split decision loss to Melissa Martinez, who we would be able to put on the breakout fighter as well, but she's fighting for Combate, and we don't know when they're gonna go. We don't know when Combate Americas is going to go. So I picked Desiree Inez. She was originally supposed to fight Rita Ortega. That was a canceled bout. That was for Desiree Inez's UFC debut, but that didn't come to fruition, unfortunately, um, which is a bummer. It's a bummer, man. But hopefully, we're able to see her fight soon. Um, she has star potential. She's very marketable. Man, really into that girl. How she fights. She should have beat Melissa Martinez. That
That
was
one was bad, man.
that was yeah, no. That was just one of those fights where I was pretty fucking I left pissed off at the judges. Not because Melissa Martinez didn't show that she was amazing, because she was, but it sucked for Desiree Inez.
Yeah.
I saw Desiree Inez beating her. I mean, the good thing about that was it was a split decision. It wasn't a unanimous decision going to Melissa Martinez. That would have sucked. And then for my third pick, Montserrat Reese. She's another strawweight, actually. So I have two strawweights.
No, Yanez is well, she's flyweight now. That's right. She used to be strawweight, right? So
Is
she's
she fighting fly
flyweight in Bellator now. Yeah,
or Bellator? Yeah, I said UFC earlier.
yeah.
I actually meant Bellator. So Montserrat Reese, she is coming off of a badass scarf hold. It was actually what, a key lock? Was it a key lock?
No, it was the leg armbar type thing. That Randa hit on Felice in the Ultimate Fighter, which we should actually. That got overlooked as a submission of the year candidate by
Submission of the year.
everybody. That was phenomenal.
Yeah. So, and that came in the first round too,
Yeah.
against Janesha Moranjan, who's a very tough opponent. So I do see Montserrat Ruiz having a great 2021 in Invicta. Just gotta get her fights. Gotta get her fights. I think that's like the biggest thing about picking breakout fighters. Like, we don't know when they're gonna fight, who they're gonna fight. But I think Sabina Mazo is the best pick for myself. For you, I really like your Murata pick.
Yeah, I think that's probably, if we're gonna do most likely out of both of our three, I would say yeah, Kanako for mine, and then yeah, Sabina probably for yours too. But I really like Montserrat. I lean a little bit towards Montserrat. I mean, I think she's gonna win the Invicta title and then probably get signed by the year's
She's
end.
literally a monster. Like, she is fucking tough as shit, dude. She is tough as shit.
And she, if what was it, Corona? I think that screwed up the fight, unfortunately, with Dakota. I think she
Yeah.
would have won that, and she'd be champion right now. If that didn't happen.
Yeah,
So
I think so. I agree with you. She would be a champion right now. I really do hope that they do that, go again with that fight. Make that fight again.
yeah, I think they will. And
I think they
also
should.
another note that I want to point out about Sabina, we didn't do a comeback of the year award last week, but if we were to have done, well, yes. Yeah, a decent choice would have been, Mazo in her fight against Keish, because remember she was losing those first two rounds, but then came back and got the finish. That was a really, I think that kicked off whichever card that was on, and that was really some good stuff there. So,
She shouldn't. I mean,
and she's probably the youngest pick out of all six of these fighters we've mentioned.
well, Yanez is 30.
Yeah,
Ruiz is like 28. So yeah, Sabina Mazo is only 24.
yeah. So then, oh, I think Bo's 24 too, actually. So they're tied
Yeah.
then, tied in the youth. which is crazy to think that she's that young. Because she, of course, what she's most known for is beating Weili. Everybody, if you are unaware, Bomang is the only fighter to have beaten Weili. Of course, that fight was not a professional bout as much as the records will say, but was not the case actually. All right, Yusuf, continuing on with our trend here.
Do we have any upcoming bantamweights for breakout fighter in the UFC?
I think that if we have had one, the one that we did have already in 2020, just before before we answer this question, 2020's breakout was Pani, easily.
Yeah, or Avila.
Yeah, that's fair, but I'd go with Pani just because she won all of her fights. As much as that hurts to say.
No, I agree with that. I agree with Pani. Yeah.
But then for 2021, maybe Jessie, if she carries that momentum over. Could be one. Could be one.
Could be, I guess.
It's tough. It's tough at bantamweight.
Yeah, bantamweights. I would say Tracy Cortez had she stayed at bantamweight, but she's not fighting at bantamweight anymore.
Yeah. And there's some people I think that I'm probably forgetting right now, but if I'm forgetting them, then they're probably not your choices. So, but mentionable prospects and everything. And I see you here, Jordan O'Brien, saying pretty sure it was a pro fight about Meng and Weili. It was not. It was not. Both fighters have said that it was actually an amateur bout, and it was only 2 rounds. So that just adds to that. If you would like to see sources on that, Meng's interview she did with Tom Taylor on bjpen.com. If you search Meng Bo, that should come up right quick. You can check it out yourself, but was not a pro bout. They just cannot. It was kind of a managerial tactic to keep that on the records, I believe, which will happen in the starts of careers. For example, Janae Harding and Megan Anderson, similar situation there with how that all played out. But yeah, they do that sometimes. And at this point, I don't think it's not worth the hassle to go and, hey, we should fix this, make Weili undefeated. I'm sure if the UFC cared, maybe they could do it, but nobody seems to be able to get in contact with wherever that fight happened. I don't remember which promotion it was, but doesn't really matter. But it makes the aesthetics look nicer, right? To have 21-0 for Weili, but
Weili probably doesn't even care, to be honest.
Yeah, and then obviously, Meng doesn't either because it's a win either way.
Why would Meng? She's like, dude, I beat her.
Yeah. So that's what that is. But speaking of champions and all that, we will move along to our most likely fighters to be a champ in 2021. And, I would like to change my pick to Steve's pick here at the last second, but just for saying multiple names, I will keep mine as the one that I chose. So let's start off with mine, I suppose, since Steve just shared his picks for breakout fighters. My pick for most likely fighter to be champion in 2021 is So Hee Ham, a former champion. Of course, she's held many titles throughout her career. And, of course, going to one championship now. And this would mean, if she becomes champion, that she will defeat Angela Lee, which I think is very possible. Of course, she's going to be probably outsized against a lot of these people. Even we could see Ham versus against Bo, we were just talking about, which would be a pretty wild fight as long as it stood standing and everything. So Hee Ham, just one of the best in the world, arguably the best atomweight in the world, of course. One of the best atomweights of all time. It's her and Hamasaki are the 2 best. She's just a really good fighter and a champion who didn't lose her recent title in Rising, but it's because she jumped ship to 1. So she's very capable and talented. All the abilities to be able to win in 1, as all the experience she has compared to most of the other opponents that she will be facing. But I think many people say it just comes down to the size, and if she can handle it, I think she's improved a lot since her strawweight run in the UFC. And even then, you can look at that 1-4 on paper, doesn't do justice. She fought 3 flyweights, and she arguably should have won 2 of those fights, I believe, and then she would be 3-1 actually. If you look at them, they were a lot closer and potentially should have been scored for her as is. So Yam's strawweight run was not as bad when you actually whip out the magnifying glass. But either way, since then she's been brilliant, and I expect that to continue going forward. But yeah, that's my pick. I thought it was a fairly decent one. I mean, we'll see what happens. A lot of variables there, as I said. So yeah, but of course, Steve's pick is absolutely pretty much the lock of the entire year for whatever your predictions are going to be.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say Waleed. Welcome, Waleed. Tatiana Suarez is a safe pick if she's healthy. I was going to say this, but we don't know when she's going to fight. Apparently, she's going to fight at some point. We don't know when. So I think that she would need 2 fights to be a champion. Only 2. 1 comeback fight, and then maybe a potential title fight, because she's still one of the best in the world in that division. If she comes in and does her thing, baby Habib, female Habib, like just mauls whoever she fights, why wouldn't they give her a title fight?
Yeah, very good point. Especially if it's somebody like Joanna, like I hope it is.
I want to see that fight. I really do want to see Suarez and Joanna go. Yeah, I would heavily lean Suarez. I lean Suarez over everybody, literally everybody in that division. It doesn't matter who it is.
Here's my thing about the current status of Tatiana and everything, and why she didn't really come to mind for this right here. And I've seen mentions of she's going to come back, she's going to win the title. I've seen that on Twitter and everything, which it is absolutely possible, having seen what we have seen.
Dude, I talk about it all the time on here.
I know.
Fucking week I talk about Tatiana Suarez fucking winning a title. Like, dude, I want her to come back. I want her to win the title. But it's just the unknown.
Yes, exactly. And that's pretty much my problem, is the unknown of how she will look after it's been, a decent amount of time. And then on top of that, the division has gotten significantly better in her time away. Like, it's not, it could still be easy for her, right? But it's not going to be as easy as when she, a year and a half ago, 2 years almost.
Her wrestling she's going to wrestle fuck whoever is in the cage with her. It doesn't matter who it is. The only person who I would have been like, oh shit, maybe, it would have been Jessica
Andrade, yeah. And I mean, Kanako's wrestling, but the size is in favor of Tatiana there. But as a wrestling match, that's a fucking awesome wrestling match, which hopefully we get to see one day. But they're circling.
That would be amazing, but I mean, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah. So anyway, yes, Waleed. Yes, I agree with you. Tatiana Suarez, Waleed. Yes.
Just question marks.
I will continue beating that dead horse until she fucking becomes champion.
But we have no question marks whatsoever with Steve's actual pick.
Right. So, but my actual pick for most likely fighter to be a champion in 2021 is Kayla Harrison. Why Drake didn't pick her, I don't know.
It was too obvious to come to mind, I guess.
It was an obvious pick, to be honest. But I mean, hey, Kayla Harrison, no matter where she goes, PFL, Bellator, UFC, wherever, she's winning a title. It's
now you're jumping to some boldness.
Wherever she goes, PFL, Invicta, Bellator, the UFC. We won't see her in the UFC, I don't think, but we can see her in Invicta as the champion. PFL, who's going to beat her in PFL? Who's going to beat her? We don't even know.
Like we said off air, they'd have to. Steve was like off air. He's like, yeah, unless Cyborg joins PFL.
Or and then Julia Budd. I said
Or
Julia
Budd.
Budd too, right? I was like, okay, so literally only two people would be able to beat her in PFL. Cyborg being able to Bellator letting her go to the tournament, or Julia Budd going to the tournament as well. Bellator kind of working with PFL. That would be amazing if they did that. Like, that would be very cool if Bellator was like, here, let's see what Kayla Harrison can do. That would be amazing. I don't think it's going to happen. Bellator doesn't want Cyborg to lose in a PFL tournament. Julia Budd, maybe. I mean, I don't really see that.
Well,
happening.
especially when Bellator is considering their own featherweight tournament, kind of, that's something that's been a talking point. Like,
yeah, you would. I mean, they would have to run Julia Budd in their tournament as well.
Yeah,
of the former champion, she literally just lost her title this past year. So yeah, Kayla Harrison. It's got to be the pick.
PFL title is
most likely Friday
guarantee.
to be a champion in 2021. It has to be the pick. Yeah, she's gonna win the PFL tournament.
Yep, again.
Yeah, I just don't know who she's fighting, and it doesn't even matter.
So is there a technicality on these PFL titles since they don't get defended? We should bring that up. What do you guys think in the chat? But either way, Steve will probably still pick her. But I'm just saying, is that a technicality?
She's gonna fight. So if you guys think that it's a technicality, whatever, she's gonna go into Invicta and beat Pam Sorensen, and she'll be a champion. And
but if they do the tournament through the whole year and end it on New Year's, you won't have time.
She would. She wants to fight.
Yeah, that'd be crazy to see. Either way, I think we'll count it. I really like PFL's belts, actually, like design wise. Just to talk about that.
Kind of annoys me that their champions, like you said, their champions don't really defend. Like, it's just a tournament and then that's it for them. I would like to see just a fight between a champion and whoever, a contender. I mean, honestly, what's the point of crowning a champion and then continuing on if they're not going to like defend a belt? Yeah. They're kind of going the way of Pride.
Yeah. I think that maybe something that was considered would have been the fact that they can't do 5 rounds because of that tournament style.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, oh, well, maybe we don't want to involve a title, even though, like you said, Pride never did 5 rounds, and Rising doesn't do that either as much as they would have liked to.
Right.
But we've seen it work before, essentially. Even though, now that I think about it, did champions defend even?
No. That's what I'm saying. Pride champions didn't defend. The tournament, Pride tournament champions didn't defend.
Yeah, so I don't know, just kind of a traditional thing, I guess, in MMA.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it, but I would just like to see, Lance Palmer defend his belt against somebody,
Yep.
I mean, it's cool that they win the tournament and all, and the $1 million, that's great, but it would also be cool to see a champion versus a contender. I don't know.
Yep.
That doesn't even matter, to be honest. Kayla Harrison's going to be a champion in 2021.
Yep, I agree. So, all right, we will move on to the fan question, just one fan question today from Yusuf, who is here with us. And before we get to his Twitter question, he actually has 2. So one person, 2 questions. Gotta love Yusuf's, his chiming in, of course. But he has one. Before we get to that, Steve, Suarez looks bigger than Val. Do you think she can cut to 115? I mean, she probably could, but I don't think it
I
would
don't think she
be.
wants to.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be the healthiest of
Yeah, I
choices.
don't think that she would want to. She wouldn't be. She wouldn't be as dominant, I guess, because
She'd be depleted, right?
yeah,
That's what
because
I'd
she
get at.
yeah, because she would be just worn out a little bit. You know, she looks super healthy right at 125. She looks fine. She looks
Yeah, I don't think she
actually
cuts that much weight
great.
to
She doesn't
125
cut that
either.
much
Yeah.
weight. She's a wrestler. She knows how to cut weight. She knows how to stay healthy throughout. She's she knows how to build up to a fight the proper way because of the wrestling pedigree. So I don't
Are
think
you mixing up Suarez and Valentina?
that's who we're talking about, Suarez, right?
Valentina. Suarez is already at 115.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry,
Your points were valid. They were for the wrong person, though.
Valentina, she doesn't know how to do shit. She's not a good
She's a
champion.
spy.
She sucks at fighting. Um, she won't be able to cut weight to 115. I don't think. Fuck, that got me fucked up.
Yeah, you got all discombobulated. Look what
Yeah,
you done, Yusuf.
I was just really like talking about Suarez. I think like I was
Yeah, just
like
following on with it.
yeah.
Well, it's good that you are doing that because that sets us up for the question from Yusuf, again, his Twitter question. So let's get right to it.
My
And I'm
God,
not.
can you imagine once Suarez gets a fight?
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah.
Be all over the place.
Okay, so Yusuf said, "How good is Tatiana Suarez striking, and who did you guys score home versus GDR for before shots after bell?" So we'll talk about the first question: Tatiana Suarez, her striking. How good is it, Drake?
Well, it's not as good as her wrestling. It is insane. Not very much, but
And Habib's striking isn't as good
yes.
as wrestling either.
Yes. Habib, though, is a solid striker. It's just one of those cases where I think you can equate this with both of them. Their their strength is so much stronger than the rest of their game that it makes the rest of their game look weaker than it really is when it's actually not that bad. I don't think Tatiana is that bad of a striker at all.
Isn't.
But at the same time, she's definitely not the best striker in the top 10 whatsoever. Maybe not the top 15 even. But again, she doesn't need to be, right? So she's good enough to where she can fall back on it for a little bit and utilize it to get into wrestling situations, of course. But as we saw, Nina Ansaroff was kind of giving it to her in that third round, piecing her up a good bit. And of course, we could maybe blame that on injury stuff, and just that was, of course, her last fight, so could have been a part of it as the fight went on and everything. But it did happen, and Nina Ansaroff, like, not to discredit her, she's a pretty underrated striker too, as we saw on her run up to that fight. If she would have won that, Nina Ansaroff's fighting for the title, man. She wouldn't have got. She would have waited on having a baby and everything. So you got to give some respect to Nina, and I'm excited to see her back, by the way. But yeah, that should kind of tell you, I think, especially just if you're gonna look at what we've seen, that fight will tell you where Suarez is at in terms of her striking, which not the best, but not the worst. She's serviceable, right? And that's totally all she needs to be with her incredible wrestling. So that's
I
what
don't know.
I would
I think
say.
that she's better than serviceable. I'm assuming that she's probably worked on her striking. She knows her strengths. She knows her strength is wrestling. Obviously, her strength is wrestling and then ground and pound. But her striking is mostly when it's on the ground. She doesn't use a ton on her feet. She does enough, and then she goes in for the takedown, and then she fucking just ragdolls people and calls it a fight. Basically, that's what she does. I don't know. Drake is saying that she's not top 15. I think that she's probably top 10 ish, somewhere around there. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter because her wrestling is just far superior than anybody else's, other than maybe Carla Esparza's. But they fought, and Tatiana Suarez did her thing against her too. So she's a fucking certified badass. She's a baddie when it comes to the wrestling, man. It'll be interesting to see what she has worked on in her time off, in her time away from the cage. She's
I don't know how much she has been working actually, because if you saw her quotes to MMA Junkie,
yeah,
what was that last week? She said that she started to do some training, whatever,
right.
somewhat recently, and said her neck started to hurt a little bit or something, and she wasn't even going that hard and everything, and so stopped.
Yeah.
So that makes me think maybe she hasn't been, she's been all recovery, which smart,
Crazy, man.
but
Yeah,
like brutal.
crazy. Yeah, it's been so long, man. It's been so long. Sucks.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully, though, she's targeting that summer return. I believe it was what she said. So
Yeah, I think so. I think she said summertime.
yeah,
It'll be a bummer if we don't get to see her fight this year again. If we don't get to see her fight, then it's like,
it gets you a little scared. Like, oh boy,
yeah,
you're reaching that TJ
Yeah.
Grant territory.
exactly. Are we ever going to see her fight again?
Yeah. So, well, fingers crossed that that's not the case.
No.
No, not to be downers.
Crazy. Yeah.
But all right, good question though, Yusuf. That's definitely an interesting one, assessing everything. But yeah, as for the second part of your question, I'll let you start with this one, Steve.
How did I score that fight? Pretty sure that I gave it to Durandamy. I think, I don't remember exactly, but I think I gave it to Durandamy. Before shots after the bell. Yeah, the shots after the bell, that was pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome, he says.
I mean, you don't think that was pretty awesome?
It is what it is.
I'm pretty sure I gave it to Jermaine Durandamy. Did you?
Yes, I thought Jermaine won that fight. I'm actually looking up
Yeah.
to see what my score was. I'm assuming I put it in here. Maybe not. But I think I had it 1-5. 1-5 for GDR. And I didn't you can't really count the before shots after the bell, he said. Okay, I thought he was mentioning like the after the shots, because you can't count the after ones. They didn't happen in the round. You
Yeah,
know?
he said
Like,
before,
okay,
he
so
said
yeah,
before the shots after the
right,
bell,
right.
which were
So
pretty fucking awesome.
it's funny because I had to say that because people have been like, yeah, with the shots after the bell, yeah, she does win. And I'm like, well, you can't count those. Like, I think Joe Rogan has said that too.
Understand like why people, I know I've seen that. I don't understand like why people would even want to, or like think that the shots after the bell count. That, why would those count?
Yeah.
The fucking bell rang. The bell rang.
The strikes within the time.
Yeah, why would you count?
And it's funny too because the second time she did it was in the fourth round, right? And that was after Holly she landed that good head kick on her. Don't want to say it rocked her, but that was a really good one. And
No,
like
it hit her clean though.
and she kind of fell forward, and then it happened like after that. And so like, no, Holly won that round definitely. Like that was Holly's best round probably just because of that kick. Like it was pretty even, but yeah. So, either way, I think it was 1-5 is how I had it. Definitely the first two rounds for Jermaine. I remember being pretty clear.
For sure, the first two rounds. Jermaine put it on Holly.
Yeah.
Those first couple rounds. And then Holly came back and did the Holly thing in the middle rounds. And then I think you're right. I think it was 1-5 for Jermaine Durandamy.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them go again.
I know. I think the rematch would be very interesting.
Yeah.
And I liked I liked the matchup initially. I just didn't like everything surrounding it. You know, like it should have been at 135 and all that. But
Yeah.
it the reason it was made was dumb. But as a matchup, I was very excited for that, and I still enjoyed that fight despite all the pointlessness and controversy. And I do hope for the rematch, which I think makes sense. Makes sense to do right now.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And I mean, I guess the winner would get a title fight.
We'll see what happens with Ketlin and Yana, I guess, or Aspen Ladd's not back yet, right? She doesn't have anything lined up, so
No, not yet. That's what I'm saying is
bantamweight is
they
just
make
a barren wasteland.
if they make that fight again, then Jermaine Durandamy and Holly Holm, the winner would get a title fight. Would be in line for a title fight again. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing Jermaine Durandamy get a title fight again, though. To be honest,
Get that trilogy.
I wouldn't mind Holly Holm, but I wouldn't mind Jermaine Durandamy getting.
Well, yeah, I think that Jermaine, if we're gonna put it in terms of who we give a better chance of actually ending up beating Nunes, I'd say Jermaine. I'd say Jermaine too. We've kind
Yeah.
of seen that.
Yeah. I mean, Jermaine did fairly well. I mean, shit. She
That
fucking
second round.
yeah, that second round exactly. Yeah. Until she didn't, until Amanda. And she's not the champion for no reason. I mean, she's pretty
it's
amazing.
interesting. So then, before we move on to the news here, just to finish this off, would let's assume that Nunes retires or something after the next fight. Who's most likely to be the bantamweight champion?
Holly Holm.
You think Holly?
Could you imagine,
beat
dude?
Jermaine in a rematch?
No, I wouldn't. Just saying Holly Holm because
Because it's
Holly.
yeah.
Because she's just they want her so bad to be a champion again.
Yeah.
Man, if Aspen Ladd could stay healthy and she can be next.
I don't know. I'm still not sold on her striking exactly, and we saw her get iced by Jermaine as well.
Yeah, that's the thing about Aspen Ladd is her striking. But again, once she gets you down, it's really tough. She makes fights really tough for her opponents.
Yeah, it is true. It is very true. But we will see, I suppose, what 2021 has in store for the hemorrhaging bantamweight division.
Dude, it sounds like it was so good for a minute.
Yep.
It was really, really good. We had Aldana, we had Ladd, we had.
Well, she's not out of the equation yet. We should say that Aldana's not done just yet. But
No, I don't.
Of course, a setback. Of course.
I don't think that she's done. I mean, obviously, she lost one fight. She's not done. But she's not. She's not gonna get that push that they wanted. It's like they're kind of okay. She lost, and then now they're fucking forgetting about her.
Yes, but she is also healing from that broken foot.
But it wouldn't be. It would be stupid for them to forget about her because of the Mexican market.
Yeah.
And because she's really good. I mean, honestly, she's a really good fighter. But that Mexican market, she can.
I know she's easily still one of Mexico's biggest stars, if not the biggest in MMA.
Other than Moreno.
Oh, right. Yeah. Even then, I mean,
I don't know.
Is Moreno blown up a lot since?
Dude, Brandon Moreno has absolutely after that fight against Figueiredo.
Yeah,
he has to be like I don't know, but he has to be one of the biggest
I'm sure.
fighter
I'm sure it
in
helped.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm assuming that a lot of people thought that Moreno won that fight.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, they could have.
I'm talking about Mexican fight fans
Yeah, yeah, of course.
because they're very biased toward their own. They're incredibly biased toward their own.
I was waiting for you to say it, for you to specify that.
They're incredibly biased for their own, which is totally fine. I get it. I get it. I am as well with Native American fighters. There's not many, but I'm
The few.
incredibly biased.
Except
And if there was a Basque fighter, let me tell you, I would be fucking number one bandwagon on that motherfucker. But there's no Basque fighters coming up, so fuck. They're too busy fucking bombing Spain, the Spanish Parliament.
This show is taking a wild turn, and I love it. All right, Waleed has a comment before we move on to the news. Finally,
the UFC got to be looking at Aspen Ladd as the next bantamweight title contender. She's the only contender other than Holly and GDR, but they fought Nunes already. Thank you, Waleed. My God, he's like a voice of reason.
that's our man, Waleed. Yeah, it's a fair point. It's funny though, because
it's literally the point that I just fucking said, and you were
yes.
like, "Well,
yeah, well,
well."
You're on to me. It's funny though, just looking back at things and how Ladd and Holly, remember, they were supposed to fight before they were like, hey, you know what? Let's give Holly a title fight. Let's give her a title fight instead, which is funny to look back on.
Which is all of her fights.
Right. But I remember like thinking Holly probably dodged a bullet on that one, with the Ladd matchup. But then seeing how the Aldana fight went, it's like, oh, maybe she didn't. Like, maybe it's a good thing that we didn't see Ladd get exposed that way. Because if Holly looked if she came in that same way, she probably would have finished Aspen Ladd, I think.
I mean, okay. I throw a lot of funny hate toward Holly Holm. She annoys me. She's not like Betch Crea annoying.
Well, it's not her as a person. We got to put that out there, right?
Oh no!
It's how she's treated.
Totally not her as a person. I mean, and not her as a fighter, and not her as a fighter. To be honest,
yeah.
For me, it's just the push that she's getting, the unnecessary push. While there's others,
the unstoppable, continuous push ever since she won the belt.
Yeah, exactly. Like it just ongoing, keeps on going. But yeah. Like, she's one of the best bantamweight fighters in the world. Her striking is unbelievable. She's a really good fighter. I mean, she's a former champion. She fucking my favorite female fighter ever. She murked the girl, Ronda Rousey. Maybe that's why I hate Holly Holm.
Did you cry when that happened?
Dude,
I cried when that happened. I was happy.
I was so fucking pissed. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching. Could not believe.
That's such a great moment for her. That was such a great sporting moment.
It really, I mean, honestly.
You're like, yes, it was.
Honestly, like it was a great moment. Yeah, of course it was. But was I pissed? Fuck yeah,
of course.
And there's that little hate for Holly Holm inside of me still. Like you
should hate Edmund more than Holly.
Oh, dude.
If we're gonna be honest.
No, Edmund. Fuck that guy. But also, Ronda Rousey, she should have went to another gym. While all these other fighters were continuing on and getting better in MMA, Ronda Rousey wasn't. Her striking didn't improve. She depended on her judo throws, and armbarring motherfuckers, and that only got her up to Holly Holm, which is a bummer. I mean, it sucks because I'm a massive Ronda Rousey fan. Loved her. Still, I defend that girl to the fucking day, to the death. I will defend.
I saw you were a couple days ago because people were getting a little silly.
Dude, it's every week, bro. It's every week. It's every fucking. It's
as consistent as Holly's push.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild that people are still talking about. But this shows how relevant Ronda Rousey is. Still, people are talking about Ronda Rousey. Still, now, right now, she hasn't fucking fought in now. How long?
2016, December 7th.
Dude, that's going on 5 years. We're going on 5 years now of no Ronda Rousey fighting. And people are still shitting on that girl. She's in people's heads.
Rent free?
Oh, yeah, rent free. 100%. She's armbarring the brain cells.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing stuff today. I'm enjoying this episode, everybody. I hope you are too. We're finally just now 50 minutes getting to the news, so we might as well get to it as we have 4 fights to preview, and I didn't realize that we had 4 fights because, I look at the wrong places for my fights, apparently.
He looks at Wikipedia.
It's just the easiest one to go to.
I was like, really? Like, who the fuck uses Wikipedia?
I know.
This is unbelievable. I mean, fucking 2002.
Yeah, right. Anyway, let's get to the news. We got 2 fight announcements. Take it away, Steve.
All right, so Olivia Renata Souza is fighting Amanda Lemos. That's at UFC 256. In March. Love that picture. I love that picture. I love how she's. I love the
smiling.
Love the middle finger. Yeah, I love that. It's fucking amazing.
Souza versus Lemos. UFC 250. Oh, I put 6. What am I doing? It's 8, right? I'm all screwed up.
Yeah, I said 256.
Jeez. See, we've gotten so off the rails that it reverted back in time. And then this one's wrong too. 59. That's 59, not 8. Right? Yes.
I don't know. I guess that's Wikipedia for you.
Yeah, maybe. Olivia versus Amanda Lemos, though. I'm not sure how I feel about this fight. I know how I feel about Souza's entire run in the UFC so far. It has pissed me off greatly with the matchmaking they've given her. I've been saying this since day one that she was signed. It just makes absolutely no sense how they've treated her. Because she's still one of the best strawweights in the world. But here she is. Excuse me. Here she is taking on Lemos, who is a rising prospect and everything. Of course, she's coming off of that Mizuki win, which is a very good win in August. Before that, choked out Granger, which was a little bit surprising for us as we were high on Granger and everything. But Lemos, yes, a very solid prospect. But we've just seen Souza fight a lot better competition, and she's one of the best. Like, she's not the best or anything, but she's been around for long enough and given us these performances that we're like, all right, we see that this girl is very talented. But the UFC has not really seen that themselves, I guess, and it's in evidence of who they're matching her with. Like Alex Chambers in that first fight, absolute layup, showcase fight of all showcase fights that she didn't need to have that fight. We've already seen what she's capable of, but I mean, a good highlight reel to have, right? And then the Sarah Frota fight after that, you're like, what the fuck is this? Frota is coming in, making her debut against Olivia, who just had that Chambers fight, and you give her this one, which was bizarre. Then, of course, Brianna Van Buren after that, which BVB, somebody we've been very high on as well. And that was a big win for Van Buren. And that one was a little bit shocking, just how easily she won that Souza has never been really beaten that cleanly before. Well, she's only got 2 losses. The other one was the Angela Hill fight, which was a split and one of the best fights you'll ever see. Like, go check that one out if you've missed it. That very forgotten 5-round war, incredible fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, split decision there. You could argue that Souza should have won that one. So she's only lost that one time to Van Buren, which is like, Van Buren's that good to be able to do that to Souza. She's that good. And then, of course, the Yoder fight between Souza and Yoder afterwards, which people thought was a little bit controversial too. I think that you and I were both like, yeah, Souza was the rightful winner there, but people thought that it wasn't her best performance. Like I said, it was disappointing. Just, I guess what I'm getting at here is Souza's run has been a little bit disappointing in the UFC for what we expected and what we saw prior to that. And then the UFC keeps giving her these matchups, which are like, I don't know, they feel weird. They just feel weird to me. This will probably be a fun fight. I think it should be very interesting stylistically and all that, but matchmaking wise, I just want a little bit more respect or something,
I'm not hating on this fight at all. I think it'll be fun. I see, of course, I agree with you about Souza, and what has happened with her since she's come into the UFC. But I mean, again, she hasn't really shown like the best of her.
Yeah, underperformed
since coming to the UFC. So maybe Lemos will bring out the best in her because they're both tough.
Yeah, very possible. And I guess we should also say that Souza did dodge a bullet because she was supposed to welcome Kanako to the UFC.
Yeah,
that probably wouldn't have been good.
You're talking about a very tough fight for her. That would have been a tough fight for her.
I like that challenge, though, that Souza would have presented with her grappling for Kanako. So I'm a little bit bummed we didn't get to see that. But, I mean, what we got was fine.
Yeah, but you're high on Kanako.
Yes.
You're high on Souza. Yeah. Souza probably would have got fucking outclassed.
Well, yeah, if we're going to look at how the Van Buren fight went, pretty safe assumption that the Kanako fight doesn't look too different from that, if not worse.
Right? Probably worse, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume it would have been a worse fight for her. But I mean, again, like we're just not seeing the best from Souza since she has been in the UFC.
Yeah.
Will a big fight, a bigger name, a bigger fight, bring out the best in her? Maybe. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. But that UFC 259 is looking sexy, though. Good Lord, what a card. Have you seen that thing? That one's getting stacked up. That's the 3 title fight one, I think.
Yeah,
that's the Sterling and Jan, Megan Nunes, and then what's the other one? I don't even remember.
Blachowicz and
oh, right.
Sonia.
Jeez. Yeah, that's insane. That's an insane combination there. It's like, geez, help out 258. It's just got Burns and Usman, which I love, but even it out a bit. So
if that fight even happens,
fingers crossed on that too. But yeah,
it's turning into one of those fights that I don't see happening for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, hopefully, it's coming up here. So. Yep, Souza versus Lemos. It'll probably be fun as much as I had a lot more to say about that than I expected to. But UFC 259.
You're just let down.
Yeah, pretty much. I've just been very let down with everything that's happened since. But all right, moving on to the flyweight division now, and a very likely to be a show stealer a bit. Could be.
Yeah. So just today, Miranda Mavericks put out on her Instagram that she is fighting Jillian Robertson in March. Is it in March?
This one is next month. A month from today.
February 13th, yeah. UFC 258. Wow, it's only a month out.
Yeah, man. And this matchup, if this tells you one thing, I think it's that this shows you how high they are on Maverick by giving her a top 15er already.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I mean, we're very high on Maverick too, but like, I didn't even expect that. I didn't expect that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. She's gonna poor Jillian. Poor thing. I mean, fear the Maverick. This girl is gonna just probably.
You want to talk about breakout fighters that we didn't mention?
Dude, yeah,
easily.
Miranda Maverick could be one of the breakout fighters. I think if you add another one to both of our lists, Miranda Maverick's the one.
Yeah, very good choice. Very, very good choice. And
Victoria Leonardo too.
Ooh, we will get to her. Don't worry. Yeah, this fight though, it's one of those things where Jillian, I mean, for those who have been watching her, which, she's gotten a good amount of attention and everything, but it was pretty clear that she was, for the most part, has been just a jiu-jitsu fighter, throughout her career to this point.
Yeah.
But she really got exposed in that last one against Santos. So it's like, if she doesn't improve her striking and, want to and work on her, I don't want to say takedown defense, but yes, takedown defense. I feel like it was more of her willingness to go to her back and try and work for submissions just on the ground, period. Like, no matter where she is, right? Rather than, bad takedown defense or whatever. But yeah, if she doesn't work on these areas that we clearly see the flaws in, Maverick's much more well-rounded. Most fighters are going to be more well-rounded than Jillian, but Jillian has a very good, ace in the back pocket with her black belt submission game. But as we saw in Maverick's last fight too, she didn't even need to take it to the ground. Looked very good on the feet.
She's only improving too. I mean, as is Jillian Robertson, but I think that Maverick is just, she's got that kind of like, got that championship feel for her.
That confidence.
Yeah. Not that Jillian doesn't. I mean, she's confident in herself, but
you can just kind of see the way certain people put it together, though.
Yeah.
We've been watching Maverick like her whole career, and it's like the strides and everything that she's made.
She's getting so good, man. She's so fun to watch. Yeah. Poor Jillian. It's gonna be a tough fight for her.
It's gonna be a tough one, but a good one. Very excited for that fight. Not at all what I expected, but I don't.
It might not be that good, to be honest.
You don't think so? Think it could be pretty one-sided?
I don't know. Like, I'm super hyped for Miranda for Maverick. Like, I'm super hyped for her. Obviously, I mean, we both are, and I'm assuming that most people who have watched her are hyped for her in the UFC. Jillian, just like you were saying, kind of like a jiu-jitsu fighter. That only will get you so far especially against a girl like Miranda Maverick, who gives no fucks.
Yeah.
Dude, she's a fucking tornado. Just this hurricane. It's crazy.
Fear the Maverick. That's all you got to say.
It's going to be tough for Jillian. It's a tough fight for her. Yep. I like it for Maverick, but it's tough for Jillian, I think.
Yep, I can't argue with that. Definitely the early lean would be Maverick on that one for both of us, obviously. I don't need to say just me on that one, but Yusuf with a fair comment, I suppose. All these flyweights will have the confidence until they meet the bullet.
He's such a Valentina Homer.
He is, isn't he? He's
like literally
he's kind of revealed himself.
Yeah. It's okay.
Didn't notice it at first. Yeah, not judging, right. Just saying.
I should be a fan, a stan of Val.
All right, now we are to the previews. We got fights again, you guys. We have 2 cards, and why we are doing next week's middle card tonight is because that card is on Wednesday, which is obviously when we do the shows, as we're doing it right now. And that card, I believe will happen before before our start time. So do the preview now, and then we'll recap it at that same day. So all works out brilliantly for us, right? So, all right, let's get to it then. UFC Fight Island 7 is the first one.
Which is Saturday.
Yes.
Sarah Morris versus Vanessa Mello in a bantamweight fight.
And there it is. This fight, man. I don't remember us previewing it or talking about the news, so I don't really remember when it even got made. It's not that big of a deal if we're going to be totally honest. It's another this is a very clear, at least it probably should be, loser leaves town fight, which we've been talking about a little bit too much recently. Hannah Cyphers and Whitmire. Steve believes. I'm not sure if that will be for Whitmire, but probably. That's probably a good one. Ostovich and Mazzani. And then there's this one. This fight, I don't want to sound offensive or anything here, but I don't know how Sarah Morris has lasted so long in the UFC, honestly.
She takes fights.
Not really. She's fought.
Yeah, that's true. Not recently. It's not like she's Hannah Cyphers.
No, yeah. She's fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in her whole career. 8 times since 2014. Which I don't know. She's only won 3 of those.
Well, look at her record. She's 6-7. Not very good. I think it's maybe because she's Canadian.
You could be onto something. You very well could be. Or no, there's no way. I was gonna say, or she's still on her tough contract. Like there's no fucking way that she would accept that.
Why would she be on her tough contract?
Because those are 10-fight deals, and she hasn't reached the 10 yet.
There's no way, dude.
I know, because they're like.
No.
They're not good in terms of money. But Vanessa Mello, though, her, on the other hand, she hasn't won at all in the UFC. She's lost 3 straight fights, and all very clearly, very badly. I'm surprised that she didn't get cut either. They're hanging on to people. Like, again, I don't want to sound rude or anything to these ladies. I try to be impartial, but if you just look at things, man. It's like...
Well, I mean, Dana did say 60 fighters will be cut.
Yeah, he did.
I would assume the loser leaves the UFC.
Has to.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, like you said, Mello, three losses, has yet to even win in the UFC. Morris doesn't fight, I guess. And
Mello's missed weight in 2 of those fights by 5 pounds. It makes no sense, dude. How is she still signed?
Yeah, that's true.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
She weighed over 140 against Aldana and Rosa. And I don't know. It's pretty, now that I'm really looking into it, this is pretty baffling that she has this fight. And we'll see if she makes weight in this one. Like, man, I don't know. The Rosa fight, let's turn it around here. I didn't think she looked she didn't lose as badly as, of course, the Cortez and Aldana fights, but she still lost pretty clearly. And I'm pretty sure she did get 10-8'd in one of those rounds. Like that's saying a lot. That's saying how not good it's been for Vanessa Mello. I don't know. Maybe, this is one of those things that I like to bring up a lot, those situations where back against the wall. This is a spot where fighters can either thrive and rally back better than ever, or they crumble because they are clearly not good enough to be in this spot. Will Vanessa do that? I don't have faith, seeing how she cannot, get the weight down, and then just how she's looked. But then again, this matchup, Sarah Morris is not that great either, and a little bit similar to a bantamweight Jillian Robertson, who isn't as credentialed or good of a jiu-jitsu player. She's got good submissions and everything, and she's capable and threatening off her back and everything, but man, this fight is going to be so ugly on the feet. Like if they get to striking and everything, I'd probably give the edge to Mello for sure, but like this fight could be one that unfortunately Twitter has a field day with, and be like, this is a UFC fight. Like, I'm afraid that that's what we're gonna get with this one. And I'm usually not that harsh on fights like this, but this one is just does not do it for me. With all that said, I'm sure Vanessa Mel is going to find a way to get submitted. That's what I'm going to leave it at.
That's fucking wild. If Vanessa Mello gets submitted by Sarah Morris, yeah, this is such a bad fight.
She's very tough. She is very durable, but that gets you so far.
Yeah, this isn't a great fight, to be honest. Like, it's not. Again, it's an Invicta fight. If you can see these two girls fighting in Invicta, not in the UFC. So yeah, I do think this is a bantamweight fight too. Like, it's what a bad division bantamweight has turned into. We're talking about Sarah Morris. We're talking about Sarah Morris and Vanessa Mel fighting each other. It's like the bottom of the barrel of the bantamweight division. One of them,
yeah,
if not both, depending how this fight is, one will be cut. Maybe two.
yeah, yeah. You never know.
I don't know. But yes, I'm leaning Mello because she should win this. She should win this fight. Morris is not a Morris.
Hiccup.
Yeah, I don't know. What I'm getting upset about the bantamweight division.
Yep, exactly.
Morris
Too one-dimensional for you.
isn't good. Like, she's not a good fighter. Mello is the better of the not good fighters. So, I mean, I guess it's Mello by decision. I don't know. I mean, they both shouldn't be in the UFC.
Yeah, it's the worst kind of toss-up you could ask for. Like, this is a coin flip in the way that you're like, I don't care, just. And Waleed makes a phenomenal point here.
Yeah, I mean, I hate seeing these kind of fighters fight each other. I would rather see them get fed prospects. Yeah, if they're gonna fight in the UFC, just give them to these prospects that you're trying to build up.
Because this does nothing, right? Besides get one of them a win.
Yeah, why put them against each other when it's not going to be a good fight?
I think that just goes back to telling you the state of the bantamweight division. That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is. The bantamweight division is not good. Like, were we saying that about the bantamweight division last year at this time? I don't think so.
Yeah, it wasn't this bad, no.
Yeah, maybe it was starting to kind of fizzle out, but it wasn't as bad as it is now.
Yeah, and they've even added some people since then too, which is crazy to say. Like, Stolyarenko's in the UFC now. Mm-hmm. That's like what one of the few. That's about it. Her and Stephanie Egger, but like not a lot. I'm very curious about that actually. I might have to do a little research piece on that and see just how many like bantamweights specifically were signed last year and like how they did, because I can't imagine it was many. I feel like it definitely was not more than 5 at most, and that feels generous. Right? Maybe some Contender Series people, but I don't even think that for bantamweight. It's been rough, man.
Yeah, has there been a bantamweight from Contender Series? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's usually strawweights.
Yeah, they're all strawweights.
Because that's an actual good deep division.
Right. That's one of the best divisions in MMA.
Yeah, period. So, All right, so
what a bad fight. Boring.
It's a rough start.
That was terrible to talk about.
I know.
Everybody's like shitting on this fight.
Everyone's like, all right, let's move on, please. We're split on this fight, and we really don't care that we're split on it.
It doesn't even matter, to be honest. I'm only picking Mello because she should be better than more. It's like,
Yeah, she's more well-rounded, but that doesn't
yeah,
mean she's that good.
yeah, that doesn't even matter. Yeah,
I think the real big question about this will be if she makes weight or not.
it's true. Yeah,
Fucking insanity, man. 5 pounds in 2 of her 3 fights that she's missed by. That's
yeah, I'm
fucking
surprised. That,
crazy.
yeah, I'm surprised that she hasn't been cut just because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Forget the terrible performances. Like,
Right. Yeah.
crazy. That is seriously crazy. But okay. Surprisingly, let's move on to this bantamweight fight, which actually this one's significantly better and prospect involved. How about that?
Yeah. So Yana Wu
Two
and
prospects, I guess.
yeah, two prospects and Jocelyn Edwards. Hmm, that's terrible.
Here we go. Just wait till you see the next one.
Oh boy. Um. So I'm assuming that you're picking Wu.
Mm, you know, I do like what I've seen from Yan and Wu in spurts.
Hmm.
In spurts, because you gotta look back here. Yan and Wu was the lone victory for Gina Mazzani. Was the lone victory for Gina Mazzani before Gina went down to flyweight and beat Ostovich a couple months ago or whenever that was. That was at bantamweight. Wu's kind of been a little bit all over the place. She, started her career at bantamweight, ended up fighting at featherweight for a fight, went back down to bantamweight. Then she made her flyweight debut against Mueller. Looked excellent in that fight. A little bit of an upset. That was in Beijing in 2018, November 2018. Got that armbar in 4 minutes over Lauren Mueller. Very good performance there. That was at flyweight, so you're like, all right, maybe she can do some stuff at flyweight. Then she has the fight against Mizuki after that, but she missed weight by 4 pounds in that one. Goes on to have a split decision and, had some good moments against Mizuki, but didn't come out victorious, of course. But she's got these moments where you're like, all right, I see that there is something here in the clinch and, of course, pulling off the armbar and everything. And she's got a ton of finishes prior to her UFC career and everything. And then before that, she only lost to Yana. So it's like not a bad person to lose to. There's some promise there with Wu, but it's like there's still a little bit of needing to find some solidity with where she is, right? And what the best division for her is and everything. Because that Mueller fight, probably definitely her best UFC performance. I don't know about her entire career, but has been able to show that she's got knockout power and everything and been able to win in multiple facets of the sport. And then Jocelyn Edwards, though, who's coming in here on short notice, filling in for everybody's favorite Betch Kohea. Jocelyn Edwards, a very, very good prospect, too. 25 years old, 9-2, and she's only lost to Sarah Alpar in a split decision, which that was at LFA 55 a couple years ago. That one was pretty close from what I remember. She's got plenty of finishes too, and she's a very solid striker. This fight should be a pretty good banger on the feet, I would think. And if it goes to the ground, I probably give a slight edge to Wu, but in size and everything, they're pretty evenly matched. Not sure what the reach is, obviously, here, but just looking at them, Edwards a bit more of a physical specimen, you could say. She's very, got some good muscle on her and everything. Should probably be the stronger of the two, especially considering that Wu, has been able to make flyweight and all that. But I think, no, never mind. I thought Edwards had maybe fought at flyweight before. Maybe she has, but not recently. Should be a pretty close one, and it's hard. It's hard for me to kind of feel super confident in Wu because of her inconsistency. And then especially this fight where she was planning for Betch, and then you go from there's really only one Betch, right? So it's hard to kind of shift the gears, I'm sure, and go to somebody like Edwards who has a lot more to offer, especially in terms of upside and everything.
I think it's a tougher fight, a much tougher fight.
Yeah.
Edwards is a much tougher fight for Wu than Betch.
Yeah.
I mean, Betch is terrible. So, I mean, that's not saying much, but Jocelyn Edwards is not terrible. She's actually a really good prospect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the few at bantamweight, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Okay, so we're going back to prospects in the bantamweight division. I think Jocelyn Edwards is one of them.
yeah,
Could easily be ranked
especially
this
in
year.
this division. Yeah,
This year, yeah, yep. She beats Wu. She fights somebody else, and we can see her ranked in 2021. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. This is a very big moment for her, and I think she'll probably well, I guess we'll have a little bit of fans. I think she'll thrive in it for the most part. I think on the feet she's going to be a bit sharper. Wu's very tough though.
She should
Yeah.
be. She should be the better fighter.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just the inconsistencies of Wu is what it makes you wonder just how far she can go. But if she can, win this impressively, then it'll tell us a lot more, clear things up. Even if she looks pretty good and makes it competitive, I guess that would kind of maybe hurt, our feelings a little bit more, just because Edwards is a rising prospect and everything. But yeah, I think it might just come down to if Edwards doesn't get submitted for the most part. It's there's just so many variables about this one, I think, but I like it. I like it a hell of a lot more than the last fight. I'll tell you that much.
Sure.
Especially a bantamweight, but
it's such a better bantamweight fight.
yeah. So I do like Edwards' upside a lot though, and like you
Yeah.
said, she could be. Well, she is definitely one to watch, and she could be somebody who makes some real noise, especially in those shallow waters. So
Yeah.
I think I'll edge it too. I'm going to say decision. I'm going to say decision though. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a finish from either lady, but I'm going to play it safe on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Edwards is the better fighter, as I said before. She'll find a way to win this fight. I don't think it's a finish, but I do see Jocelyn Edwards winning by decision. I like her as a prospect more than I like Wu as a prospect.
Fair.
So, I mean, as far as the prospects go, I think Edwards is the better one, and I'll pick her.
I think Wu needs to just, figure out maybe some dietary plans and, to be a flyweight. She needs to be a flyweight. I think that's where she'll be her best, as we've, just seen recently. And this fight, I think the only reason that she is at bantamweight again for this fight is because they were setting her up with Betch and like, hey, you want to do this? And she was like, sure, if that's what you want me to do. But I think that she would like to stick with flyweight. So we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. But
This is a tougher fight for her.
yeah, no,
Edwards is not going to be easy.
Nope. And yeah, she's got looking to make a statement. UFC debut and everything. So
Yeah.
all right, that was UFC Fight Island 7, you guys. The
That's
first
on
event
Saturday.
of 2021.
Finally, we're finally there. We're almost there.
I know, dude. Ryzen feels like it was fucking forever ago, doesn't it? Like that was the last event we saw.
It
We haven't
does.
had any MMA since then.
Feels like a long ass time ago.
I know.
Yeah.
And geez, I don't know if are you gonna watch the game when it starts? I am. It's the playoffs, so we might miss like the second half, the main card live.
No,
At least I am.
I will not be missing
I'm
either
not
of
missing the
them.
game.
I'll
Like you're
have-
gonna split it.
I'll have the TV on the Packer game, and then I'll have my laptop on the fights probably. But I will not miss a Matt Brown and Carlos Condit fight. I will not miss Max Holloway fight.
Yeah, fair enough. And the pawns. Don't forget the pawns.
Yeah, and Pons, hopefully. I mean, hopefully, I guess. I mean,
It's always hopefully with him now.
yeah,
unfortunately.
up until he's in that fucking octagon. I don't know.
All right, let's get to UFC Fight Island 8. It's funny, we just went from Fight Island 7, which was a bantamweight, two bantamweight fights, a pair of bantamweight fights, and now we get a pair of flyweight fights and some very, very intriguing ones.
Better
So,
fights. These are better fights.
yeah, yes, they are. So, take it away, Steve.
Okay, so Victoria Leonardo
Get
is
ready
going
for
to.
this. Get ready for this. Oh, both of them. I almost didn't want to put it up.
That's terrible. I understand.
It's like this is pointless Steven show.
Dude, they literally have nothing on them.
They don't even know where Mano's from. She's from France, god damn it.
They don't even know anything about either of them.
Just the records.
Terrible. The UFC's fucking terrible.
I knew this would trigger some angry Steve.
Well, I mean, why?
No,
Like,
it's hilarious.
why would you? Why would you?
Especially
Can't.
for Leonardo, who was in the Contender Series.
Yeah, yeah,
At least with Furo, she's making her debut and on short notice.
yeah. But she's not a terrible fighter from France.
No, not at all.
Like, there's pictures of her on the internet.
We've
Or-
seen what she looks like.
We know what they look like.
Yeah, good fun stuff. But
That's terrible.
yeah, this is that's terrible. But this fight is not. I am very excited for this fight, and
The fight's actually good, but I mean, look at that shit.
yeah, as Steve said, not a terrible fighter from France. She is very, very good, and I'm going to give you my pick right away. I think she's going to win this fight.
No,
I think she will
you're
beat
picking
Leonardo.
Leonardo.
I'm picking Furo. I really like what I've seen out of her. Her striking is very good, very relentless
She's
at
good.
flyweight. The diversity in her kicks alone is pretty ridiculous. You know, like she'll throw just about all the kicks you can imagine. I think she has a karate background. I'm not totally sure what her striking expertise is, but a lot of side kicks, a lot of Wonder Boy stuff, even axe kicks, like spinning shit. She throws just about anything, and her combinations are very nice. I think it has to be karate. I've seen some footage of her, fighting in what looked like karate. I'm not 100%, but either way, very good striking, very good combinations. She has chained in takedowns before into some of her performances off the back end of those combos, which I always love to see when fighters put it together that way. But mostly, a striker, of course. And her only loss in her career, she's 5-1. Her only loss was to Leah McCourt, in her very first fight, and that was a catchweight at 138. She's a flyweight now, so a bigger opponent in a split decision where I could have seen it going to her, but of course the thing about that fight was, and what is going to be the question mark in most of her fights in the UFC that she will have, especially this one, is if she can keep opponents off of her, because that's how Leah pretty much won with her top control. And that's what Leonardo I think is going to need to do as well, which we have seen that she is capable of doing that. But this matchup just makes me think back to Leonardo versus Blanchfield, and like, oh man, another head kick, highlight reel finish could be in the works for Furo, because she has some wonderful kicks, man. Like
That would suck for Leonardo if that happened.
yeah, that would be a bummer. But I think it's going to be a case of if Leonardo can close the distance, make this a dirty fight, get it to the ground,
It's probably
she should be pretty good to go. Furo, though, if she manages the distance and lands at will, it's going to be a rough night for Leonardo, I think. She's very tough, of course. Like she pretty much got knocked out twice against Blanchfield in that fight. That's how tough that she is. But I don't know, the combinations and the striking of Furo, I think, is going to be something very interesting to watch at flyweight. And Yusuf, if you're still here, man, who knows? Maybe we could see a sweet striking match down the line. Not anytime soon, I'm sure. But Furo is a very good striker, and maybe I'll look terrible with this prediction here, and she'll get exposed real bad here in this matchup. But I doubt it. She's been very solid throughout her career, and has some very good wins and everything. So yeah, I like her for the upset, even though I don't know, I've seen a lot of people are very high on her, especially, prospects coming out of Europe and everything. I'm curious what the betting line would be on this one, but surely, more people know about Leonardo, especially stateside UFC audience, all that stuff. But yeah, I think she's gonna pull it off in the short notice debut and also Leonardo's debut. But we'll see. We'll see. You pulling up the odds? I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the odds right now.
Do tell if they have them.
Yeah, plus 150 for Leonardo, minus
Ooh.
170 for Furo.
Pretty close though. Not mad at that.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, I might be putting money on Leonardo because I think that she wins.
Oh wait, you said she's the underdog?
Yep.
Aha, ha ha.
She's a plus one. She's a
So
plus
how about
150.
How about that? People might be seeing what I'm seeing. But yeah, no, I think that would definitely be a good dog pick because, like I said, it's going to come down to the grappling. I don't think Leonardo stands too much of a chance on the feet, but she could definitely surprise us a bit.
Yeah, she's power.
If you look back at that Liz Tracy fight, I mean, all Liz Tracy fights are fucking nuts. That fight was very good, back and forth war, but of course, Liz Tracy does not have that same diversity in her strikes and arsenal. I mean, Furo is kind of going to be a pretty unique fighter, I think, in terms of what she brings in the striking for a lot of people. But again, you're only as good of a striker for as long as you can keep it standing, right? So
yeah, I mean, and that's what Leonardo needs to do is get on top of her, and then I mean, if she does, then she could probably win the fight like that. So yeah, I think I'm taking the underdog. I guess. I wasn't really expecting to see that line, so I'm kind of like, wow, okay. I'm surprised the people are not as high on Leonardo. It's kind of surprising.
I think that I think that people maybe came to realize like the Chelsea Hackett hype was not quite justified just yet, at least.
Yeah.
That speaking of odds and everything, like fucking what a joke that was for Leonardo to be the underdog in that one. That was insane.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
just made zero sense whatsoever. Like Chelsea Hackett, that's the win for Leonardo. That literally put her on the map enough to get in the UFC. But realistically, no, that is not her best win whatsoever. Leonardo's best win is probably Geltmacher, I would say, over Tracy. I mean, as we've seen how good Geltmacher continues to be, and that is a fantastic win and is going to age pretty nicely, I would imagine. So, yeah, it's maybe people just kind of been like, oh, that win, that was not as good as it should have. She should have had a better win to get in the UFC, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but either way, an interesting fight.
yeah, I like it. I think we're split on this fight, which is fine.
And funny enough, yeah, looking forward to it. Funny enough, though, the next fight we're about to talk about, somewhat similar stylistically, right? And what each fighter needs to do to win. So let's just move right to it along in the division here with fighters who have pictures.
Yeah, so Roxanne Modafferi returns against Viviane Araújo. This is actually should be an entertaining fight. Does Roxy get knocked off finally?
I mean, she's if we're gonna be real, she's been knocked off multiple times in her career. She's been knocked off the pedestal, should you say?
For good.
Out of her ranking perch for good.
Yeah.
For good. I don't know. She impressed the shit out of me in that Andrea Lee fight, and as I told you, I did not expect that. I thought she was done after the Murphy loss, but I was proven very wrong. She looked great against Andrea Lee. And I don't want to say that was more of a case of Lee not of Lee underperforming as it was Roxy overperforming or anything like that. I think it was more of Roxy overperforming, I guess I should say, not the latter, right? Roxy came in there and was beating her in the striking. Like, that's something I did not expect at all. Of course, she's always strong in the grappling. She's a black belt. Araujo here, for stamina, Araujo, right? You got to get the pronunciation correct there. Very, very good and fun striker to watch. Great mobility, very quick for the division. Hits hard, good combinations too. Could we see Roxy potentially do the same thing that she did to Lee? I don't necessarily think that will happen to Viviani here, but you never know. This is one of those fights where, okay, we saw in Viviani's last fight against Montana, just terrible game plan, just not the right approach here, but she has a similar style too, let's say a Roxy. Roxy is going to fight smart, and she's going to fight to her strengths. And if she feels the need for the takedown, which I'm sure she will at some point, she will actually go for it. Unlike Montana very poorly did not do in her last fight. And then that will answer those questions that we still have about Viviani, which we need answered as she continues to climb the ladder here. It is, will she fade when she's pushed as the fight goes on? And will she be able to avoid getting taken down? And, just those simple questions that we will have there. Roxy's the perfect test for that, to find out if that will happen. Will she be able to do it? She's got all the experience and the intangibles, but this is tough. It's kind of tough for me because of how well that Viviani moves and her striking good enough to keep Roxy away, I think. And we've seen, even in that Andrea Lee fight, like, Roxy, she didn't set up her takedown attempts all that well. Like, she was just striking to get in there, but she would take a lot before she, like, went for the single or something. Like, she didn't set him up very well. And against Viviani, I don't know if Viviani's going to be there to even have an attempt allowed. That's how quickly she will move in and out of the pocket. But then again, will she fade as the fight goes on because of Roxy's pressure? That's the question that we have. And Roxy, as we know, will not go away. She's always in your face for the entirety of a fight, no matter how long it is. So
for fights, man.
I think this one's tough. This one's quite tough, but I'm so bipolar about Roxy now, but because I think I'm going to pick her. I think that she's all reliable in this case. We know what we get with Roxy for the most part, generally, unless you give up on her like I did in the last fight. But Viviani, still those question marks that I have about her, I think do not. This is a very tough matchup for me to pick her in this case, but it will answer these questions. I have no doubt about that. So I'm going to take Roxy by decision or a third round sub, but I think Viviani will survive.
So if you were a betting man, Roxanne Modafferi is a plus 260.
You fucking kidding me?
Viviani,
She is perpetually disrespected
by everybody, including the betting lines, the odds makers. Araujo is a minus 340.
That is wild. That is so
Just
wild,
saying,
man.
You think that Modafferi is going to win, and, well, put some money on that shit.
That is so fucking crazy. As Waleed's pointed out here in the comments, he's asking, why is Roxy a big underdog? The 3 times she was that much of an underdog were up against Antonina, Andrea, and Macy. Was she that big of one against Andrea? It was for the other 2, but yeah. No, I picked her and was not surprised.
She's literally always the underdog.
Yeah, it's.
I think in this fight,
when are y'all gonna fucking learn?
I think in this fight, it's kind of like a disrespect for her,
Well, especially yeah.
I get it. Araujo is good. I mean, I'm going to pick her. To be honest, I'll pick Araujo to win this fight. But as far as the betting line goes, why would you put Roxy at a plus 260? I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. Other than disrespect. Other than disrespect.
Especially after these three fights that Waleed points out, these were all of her last wins, her most recent wins, which all four of these fighters, Antonina, Andrea, Macy, Viviani, are all similarly styled.
Like legit, like you go down that line, she should have lost to all of them.
Yeah. No. I mean,
oh yeah. I picked her
Roxy?
literally. I picked her to lose against all three of them.
I picked Roxy against Antonina and Macy because I'm smart. No, but yeah, it's just funny because you look at her last, fucking all of her recent losses, man. You can go back far. You can go back all the way to her resurgence. Okay, I'm looking at her record right now. These are her losses, and just listen: Lauren Murphy, Jennifer Maia, Sajara Eubanks, Nico Montano, Jennifer Maia, Vanessa Porto. What do all of them have in common? Pretty strong grapplers. Yeah, pretty well-rounded.
Not bad people to lose to be honest.
Yeah. Not bad. And then you look at these wins. Pretty striking heavy fighters. Like, and in some cases, big unknowns. Antonina, how good's the ground game? Not very. Macy, very inexperienced. Andrea Lee, okay, we knew a little bit more there, but Viviani here, still got question marks. Like,
she's got that
that's
power
nuts. Yes, knockout power. Yep.
She's gonna knock out Roxanne.
I'm sorry. I can see that.
I'm sorry to say that because I like Roxy a lot, but I think it's time. Not that I want to see. I don't want to see her get knocked out. I just think that's.
She got wobbled by Murphy.
She did, but Murphy's really good though. I mean, let's be honest. Murphy gets hate too.
Yeah, she's also disrespected for sure.
Yep, she definitely is. She is definitely just disrespected when she shouldn't be. I guess. I mean, I don't think that she should.
She's looking great. She's looking great, but this is out of these these fighters that we've all mentioned here with Roxy matchups, Antonina, Andrea, Macy. I was pretty confident in Andrea Lee winning that one. And then I was pretty confident in Antonina. No, I was pretty confident in Roxy beating Antonina and Macy, and then she did. And then this one, I'm pretty up in the air, but I'm fairly comfortable. I don't know. It's tough. Either way, if you look at the track record, this kind of helps me feel good about picking her against these matchups because that's just kind of how she does it, at least lately. And I don't know. I think she'll stick around. But essentially, I already made my pick. So, Steve, yours is a knockout. But which round are you feeling?
I'll go 2. Ooh, second round knockout for Araujo.
That's when she needs to do it. Because after that, you got to admit, that's when it gets interesting.
Yeah, if they go to the third round, then Roxy probably wins.
Yeah, unless Viviani proves to us that hole has been closed, and that's what I want to see. I want to see it go there. But that's also why I'm picking Roxy because we don't know yet.
Yeah,
we don't know yet. So once we have that answered, it'll be great. It'll be great, and we can know what to expect going forward. So
again, that's kind of weird why they would put Araujo so.
Yeah,
the rankings,
Gizmo appearance, Gizmo cameo.
Someone's at the door.
All right. Well, that's perfect timing. All right. All right. So that. Let me see if I can mute Steve real quick. Apologies, guys. Yes, I can. All the power in the world. Um, all right. Those are the UFC Fight Island previews, everybody. Fight Island 7 and 8. What are your picks and predictions for all four of these matchups? Let us know in the comments below, or let us know right now before we hop off. But either way, would love to hear from you guys what you think. Um, Gonna be fun. Gonna be fun to have some fighting back. I'm not looking forward to the earliness of these events because they will be starting at 9 a.m. My time, and of course, that is I shouldn't be bitching about that when the UK fans and whatnot have it way worse. But I'm gonna just because it's not what I'm used to. But as we wait for Steve to come back and wrap up here, I do see a Yusuf. Don't worry, man. I was hanging on to this one. Have we spoken about Whaley fighting in Asia? No, we have not spoken about this yet, but I'll touch on it a little bit. I've touched on this. When did I talk about this? Shameless plug over, well, not really. It was a guest appearance, but over on SCMP MMA's YouTube channel with John Yunko and Nick Atkin. Yeah, Whaley fighting in Asia. Very interesting. Very interesting. Cool. Cool if it happens, she's the champion. Champions' rights get to make your pick a little bit, have your say, be a little bit stronger, which is why it's kind of been annoying, after all this time that's gone by for the Rose fight to not happen because it seems like it's not been on the champion side of things and making it happen. You know what I mean? All this time that's passed, Whaley would have liked to fight sooner. She hasn't had any issues besides maybe not wanting to travel very far or anything, but it's weird. Like Fight Island from China, I don't know exactly how far it is, but I doubt it's super far. Like compared to Vegas, of course, you don't want to send Whaley back there when you don't need to. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. And of course, I saw this. I think it was her manager, Brian Butler, did an interview, and he mentioned how that she was kind of not traumatized, but it was a little bit of a thing for her. He is back there, Steve. What was I getting at? Not traumatized necessarily, but she didn't like the what happened with going into the first fight with Joanna, or the only fight with Joanna, and how she had to bounce all over the place. Had to go from China, then to Thailand, to I think somewhere else. Like she had to move her camp as it was happening because of the virus and everything. But absolute worst case scenario, because that was right when things started taking off. Like if she was to fight in Vegas again right now, it's going to be a lot smoother sailing than that. Of course, maybe she'd have to come a little bit earlier like Zhao Nan did, which then, of course, takes out of her pocket and all that stuff. And, not ideal for training camp. So champ getting to fight, hopefully at home in China, of course you'd fucking want that. Why wouldn't you want that shit? And she's always been somebody who points out that her camps and whenever her coach is there, which I don't remember if Chow was there for the Joanna fight, but you look at it, she finishes people every single time that he's with her, and like they've had a steady camp that isn't disturbed by these crazy elements that she's had to deal with since joining the UFC. Like her first with the Tisha fight and then the Danielle Taylor fight, he was not there with her, and they were decisions. So read into it what you will. They were still solid performances, but of course, clearly not at all her best performances. So, yeah, if she can fight in China specifically, a part of Asia, yeah, that would be awesome if they can make it happen. And so I guess we'll see. I don't know. You didn't really ask a question necessarily there, Yusuf, but of course I wanted to touch on that while Steve was away. And do you have any thoughts about that, Steve, now that you're back?
Yeah, I mean, we want to see her fight. I have said I don't care who, I don't care when, I don't care where, I don't care. She just needs to fight. We're going on almost a full year without seeing her in March.
Ridiculous.
N- but it's not her fault though. Like it's not anything that she's at fault for. COVID hit, and she's in China. Uh, that's where the shit started. Um, it's not her fault. Like nothing's her fault. It's just, I guess, disappointing because she she's like on the cusp of being a massive worldwide superstar. She's right there. She's so close. She's on that cusp.
Especially building off of that fight.
Yes. Of being that superstar, that worldwide, not just in Asia, not just in China, not just in Asia, a worldwide superstar. She's so close to it. We need to see her fight again. She needs to fight. Again, I don't care who. I hope that it's Rose Namajunas. I'm really interested in that fight. I want to see that fight. If it's Joanna again, I'm fine with it because it was the first fight was so good. And Joanna, I mean, if she I'm not mad at people who had her winning that fight. It was so close. I'm not mad at anybody who had Joanna winning. I would love to see that fight again. Maybe. Carla Esparza has been thrown out there. I don't know. I'm a fan of Carla, but that's not the choice for me. I think Rose Namajunas is. Honestly, I've said, and I'll keep saying, I don't care who, I don't care when, and I don't care where. Asia would be cool, of course. Like you were saying. I mean, of course, she wants to fight in Asia. Of course, she wants to fight in Asia. Why wouldn't she? It makes complete sense why she would want to fight in Asia. Why wouldn't the UFC want to put a card in Asia with her headlining? Of course they would.
Yeah.
Of course they would want that. But again, I guess Tokyo is not doing well again with COVID. So shit's fucking going bad again. The UK's already shut down again. We here in America, it's going it's going up and down for us. I don't know, man. I don't know. Man, I don't know. I just want to see her fight. We want to see her fight, you know?
Yeah. I think really the only possible options in terms of Asian locations would be China or Singapore.
Singapore.
As one has returned and everything, they're doing their thing. China, they've had actually a good amount of events last year, and fighters have been fighting and everything. So
Yep.
they could do it there, and of course they have the fucking Shanghai PI, which is the big fancy thing in Shanghai, of course. So an easy spot, I would imagine, to set things up there for a fight and all
Yeah, but with
that.
no fans, you would assume that they would want to put Whaley where
Right,
the
right, yeah,
you know, for
exactly.
her first title fight in Asia.
Yeah. Well,
You would,
it depends on how bad things are there, which I'm pretty sure they've gotten a lot better. I think it's cleared up from at least from what I've seen and heard people I've talked to, friends I have in China and everything.
yeah.
Sounds like things are doing pretty good. I think like even schools open a little bit. One of my friends is a teacher and stuff from when I tried to do that. So also just a note, I think that China is probably the most realistic, of course, adding on to what we've already said here, but because I think they might have like a TV deal that they need to put events on there for the network, which they I'm not 100% sure on this. Pat Auger knows about this. You can go bug him on Twitter and everything, but he mentions it every now and then whenever we talk about Whaley and China stuff. But after she won,
Go bug Pat.
go bug Pat. He'll love that.
Yeah, you probably will actually though.
After she won the title, because that fight, that card, what was that, UFC Shenzhen, was shown on like what CCTV or whatever China's one of their big television stations is or whatever, and apparently they like redid their deal like the day after. Like they doubled down. UFC's like, all right, we got we got it. We got a champ now. Let's fucking go. So if that's the case, they could be in a position where they're like, oh shit, we gotta get these in now. You know, okay, we had to ride out this wave where we fucking couldn't do it. We just could not do it in 2020. All right, now we need to compensate and make up for some shit for our. Got to make our Chinese market happy, otherwise we're gonna lose out on this great opportunity, right? You know, like you don't want to miss out on what they could potentially have there. So, especially when Chinese MMA is really taking off now. So yeah, that's the thoughts about that, Yusuf. I hope you got what you hoped for. Hope that was satisfactory. And essentially, it boils down to us just wanting Whaley back in action.
Yeah, there's not much like that we can say other than what we've been saying for a whole year almost.
Yep, just crazy.
You know, until they make the fight, then we can't really. We can only speculate and say what we would want to see. Up until that, we don't know what specifically is going to happen or what is going on. Only the UFC really knows that, and maybe Whaley.
Yeah,
Whaley.
I'm sure they have an idea.
Yeah, Whaley might not even fucking know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Who knows? But anyway, perfect time as we approach the 2-hour mark. You guys, loaded show, went all over the place, but good fun times as always. Don't forget, follow us, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't done any of these things already. But if you're here live, then you probably have already, and we appreciate it greatly, of course. You can follow myself and Steve on Twitter at DrakeRiggs_ and at SteveK_MMA. And of course, follow the platform we are on, which is the Scrap News, at the Scrap News and the Scraps YouTube channel. All that good stuff. Steve, do you have anything coming out this week? Anything planned?
I have a couple of MMA interviews coming up this week. Actually, I'll put them out this week. Soon after they're done.
Yep. Very nice. All right, we can look forward to that. And
what about you?
Yeah, I am working on lining up a lot of interviews. It's been a little bit tough and slow here in the first beginning of 2021, but I understand, and I don't like to bug a whole lot of people around the holidays anyway, even though holidays have passed. But yeah, about to get back rolling, lining up a lot of stuff, hearing back from people and everything. And then just doing plenty of, other video podcast type content over at The Body Lock. Go check that stuff out. And writing, as always, all the important stuff on my Twitter, as I've mentioned, and I'm sure where you guys see me anyways. So nothing big and noteworthy that is out just yet, but working on it as always. So in the meantime, let's hand out our thank yous and get out of here. Take it away, Steve.
All right. So thank you, as always, to everybody who watches us on a weekly basis. We really do appreciate it. 2021 is going to be a good year for us, for Drake and I, as far as this show goes. And you guys are a part of it. You guys are a massive, massive part of it. You guys are what makes this show go round. Yusuf, Jordan, Waleed, Stamina, and whomever else watches us, thank you. Until next week, enjoy the fights. We got a couple cards coming up. Finally, we got fights. Enjoy.
Peace.